Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of The Left Swipe brought to you by H2H. And today we're going to be talking about the mysteries and inconsistencies regarding the murder of those four university students in Idaho a couple years back. And, well, Helen, what do you think about that whole uh, mess?
Yes, well, hi everybody, and welcome to our show once again. Yeah, well, me and Hector were actually kind of discussing this. We were discussing about, first of all, that we obviously been very close to the case, been watching them, been following the case, and we saw that actually Brian had done a plea deal, right, not to get the death penalty.
Yes.
So it's more about just him just he's gonna be in prison his whole life, basically, right?
Yeah.
So we were following it. That I think it was two. I might be mistaken, but two of the parents were not too happy. They kind of wanted the death penalty, and the other two were okay with him just like doing prison and life. And that's also something to discuss. Like, also, like, do you really think it's worse that you give someone death or prison and life, right? Some people view it very differently. Like, I would sometimes think that maybe just like being in prison for life might be a little bit like more, it might be a little worse in a sense for some people, and for some people think that it's just like if you get the death penalty, it's just like an easy way out. But I also that touches base on a lot of things, like if
Yeah.
you're like a religious if you're a religious person, like I would be like, oh gosh, I'm going to hell, I don't want to go to hell right now, like give me some time. But if you're not a religious person that doesn't believe like, oh, there's a hell or anything, you're just gonna fall asleep, then it's just like, oh, maybe it might just be like an easy way out, right?
Yeah, I mean it's an ethical and moral dilemma, and also some people would be like, why is the state spending money on keeping people alive? You know,
Yeah,
again, it
people.
depends.
Mhm.
But
And it also depends. You have to also think about the system. Like the system is so like it's so corrupt in a sense because like how do some people like get away with such horrible stuff and they're like allowed out really quick, and others are like in prison for like just like like for things that are not even that bad.
yeah, it's a flawed system. But going back to the killer, what I found kind of troubling is that apparently they reached this plea deal, right? As you said, to avoid the death penalty. But
Yeah.
it really sounds like they rushed it and they really didn't get any input from the family. So I think on the prosecution's behalf, I feel like that's just rude. Like I feel like they should have spoken to the families of the victims and had their input. Um
Yeah.
and just some there are so many things that don't add up in this case. This guy, Brian Koberger, I believe, walks into a dorm, right, and he kills these four students, but he let two people live, I believe, or I mean I don't remember the exact details, but what's really strange is that no one called the cops. Not until the morning of, so maybe 3, 4 hours after. So they've been dead for a while, and yet there were two or at least one survivor. There was at least one survivor in the house. So why
No, there
didn't they
was two
call?
survivors in the
Okay,
house, I believe.
there were two survivors. Why didn't they call the cops or try to find help?
Yeah,
Doesn't make
the
sense.
whole it that doesn't make sense to me. Okay, I know that one of the roommates supposedly saw him. Like, she actually saw his face, like his that she said he had bushy eyebrows, and that's the one that I'm more concerned about. Like, how do you see someone? Like, you hear someone, right? There's like an ongoing battle, and you kind of like look out from your room, and then you see a stranger pass by, and supposedly I think she just like locked herself in the room. But it's like, how do you not call the cop? That to me is crazy.
How do you
Like
not?
the first thing you would do is call the cops,
And how do
and
you
then
not
there.
hear the whole? How do you not hear it? You know, like not even them, but like the neighbors too. I'm pretty sure that shit was loud. You know, I would imagine that there was a lot of screaming and a lot of like things crashing and falling. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, to me, there's a lot of like, but I don't know. There's a lot of things also that kind of with this case are kind of like they're kind of like weird in a way because like I know that the police was very adamant on not really like giving so much details of the case. Like I remember when I was even following it for the first time, I'm like, dude, how do you not like how do these detectives not have any idea? Because like they would come on the news and be like, oh yeah, at this point we don't know anything. And they would be very like vague, right? One time they were like saying like, oh yeah, we already cleared the other two the other two roommates, but you don't give any information because also like the other two roommates is everything is very suspicious as well, right? Like how do you never call the cops? How like I mean you could be drunk, but the fact that the one girl supposedly saw him, how do you not call the cops? That to me is ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Right.
You obviously saw a stranger in your house and you don't call the cops? That's very weird. And it's like the whole thing was very weird. Like, oh yeah, we don't have any um just the police just being like very vague. Oh yeah, we don't have any like right now. We obviously don't have any suspects. I understand that in the fact that it's just like okay, you don't want to give anything away, right? And you don't want it to like ruin your just your like your whole the whole case, right? Like the whole like oh maybe we already have some like freaking we have a fingerprint, we have like this because they found like remember how they found
The sheath
the
of the
sheath,
knife.
yeah,
Yeah.
of the knife. So it's just like okay, I understand that part, but just the fact of them just like being but it was a long time before there was any like kind of like oh evidence this guy. And the whole other thing is like this guy like he like oh, how did he target these people? You know, like just randomly, huh?
He's been stalking them for a while. I don't know how long, but
Yeah.
he had not only been watching the place, but he knew their routines. He knew, you know, who was home, when they left, when they got home, and all that other
Mhm.
stuff. So it's not like there was definitely a lot of premeditation. You know, it wasn't like a crazy guy just has a, you know, like a, I guess like an episode or something and kill somebody. Like
No, yeah,
he
this was
thought it
definitely
out.
yeah,
Hmm.
premeditation, like you said, definitely. Not only was he going in school to do the opposite, right, of what
Yeah,
you
criminology.
expected, but it's just like, okay, how do I get away with this and how do I do it effectively, right?
Hmm.
Because it's like, yeah, we know that his cell phone had been pinned to their apartment, well, to their living where they were living. And we know also that I guess he had sent one of them. I think it was I don't know if it was the Maddie. I think it was Maddie, the Maddie girl that he had actually DM'd her, but he never she never like responded. And supposedly that was the target, right?
Hmm.
And there's like unfortunately there was another casualty. Her one of her friends that she was like sleeping next to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but like you said, if it was just, but that's another thing that doesn't make sense to me. Kind of like, okay, so he had, I think the Maddie girl that he actually was the one, like the basic target, and then the other girl was like sleeping next to her, and he killed both of them, and then he went on to kill. the man and then the other girl. But doesn't make so much sense to me because it's just like really the guy, no one was able to like four people, and no one was able to do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
we know that they fought back, right? But it's just like even the I forgot his name. I don't know if it was, but yeah, like it kind of seems a little strange to me, and how it was so easy for him to get in, get out, nothing and nothing. Like the other girl didn't even call the cops. That's really weird, isn't it?
It's almost, it's a leap, but it's almost possible for him to have had like inside help. I'm not saying that's what happened, but sometimes like because the only thing I could imagine. Okay, I have two theories, and they don't make much sense, so don't take me too seriously. But the first one is you're like you're awake, you see him, but you're like still like half asleep, and then you kind of just go back to bed, not really sure if you saw what you saw. But that doesn't make sense because there had to be a lot of noise and a lot of like commotion going on. The second,
Yeah,
the second thing I was gonna say is, okay, maybe she saw him and she locked herself in a room, and she didn't have for whatever reason her phone with her, so she said, "I'm just gonna lock myself up in here and like try to like wait it out." And maybe that's what happened. But like nowadays everyone has a phone. So like, what are the odds of that? And I don't know.
yeah. Like, why wouldn't you have your phone in your like that to me doesn't make that much sense. And also, like, really, you didn't hear anything at all because I know that one of them was supposedly looking at her phone not too like long before, and they had also gotten like I think it was like Postmates or something not that long ago.
Mm. No,
So
I
it's
didn't know
like so it's like you must have been like conscious in a sense, and also like I don't know. I mean it's sad. It's like it's horrible what he did.
that. Yeah,
And
and you
like
know
you have
what?
you have uh-huh.
Like, I just wanted to say real quickly, like, thank God, obviously, but at the same time, it's interesting how he didn't kill them. The survivors. Why did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, like spare them.
I think it was just like because a lot of like the previous people that have known him, like they've declared like, oh yeah, maybe he just like something about like just wanting to know what it felt to like kill. And I really honestly think that he thought that he would be able to get away with it, just because like the whole thing about like him studying that, like just knowing what to look out for. But also it's kind of dumb. Like, why did you leave the? But I mean, it's
You know
just
what
like
my question
it's a
is?
moment of rage. Like maybe he left it there,
You
like the whole
know,
sheet and stuff.
I feel like it could have been like just a simple mistake. Like he dropped it and they didn't even notice. Like you got adrenaline and
Hmm.
shit going through you. But the question I have is, yeah, I agree. I think that it was like a sort of desire he had, like maybe curiosity. But at the same time, like I'm wondering, do you think that this was sexual? Like it was some sort of like twisted fantasy that he had, or do you think it's just like I wonder if I can get away with it type of thing?
No, you know what? I feel like it makes to me the way I see it, it makes a lot more sense to me that he just wanted to see like
If
how
he
do
could
you
get
get
away with
away
it.
with it? Yeah, I think so because just the whole like the whole thing about like also like them supposedly like in their criminology class talking about it,
Hmm.
and that he was kind of like, oh yeah, like, oh, what do you guys think and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
he
they would
seemed
go
like
through like mock like fake crime scenes with like fake bodies and everything. So he had like professors and like very like respected and high like people that are really high up there in like the system, I guess, like explaining how detectives think and how they analyze crime scenes. So he must have thought like, oh, I got this down, like I could probably get away with this. So obviously a little overconfident, and well, now he's
you know what, he was way too overconfident. You know why?
mm,
Because number one, I feel like he was way too overconfident in that he freaking like there's obviously cameras everywhere that you go now, right?
Mm-hmm.
and he had his car. Like his car
Yeah.
was one of the reasons why he tracked them also. So he had his car and also like his cell phone, like pinpointed to that area before. So it's just like you kind of dumb, right? Because like if you're gonna go scope an area out, you will not take your cell phone. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people that also like even like obviously your car, I mean your license plate obviously, but not only that, now you have so much data. Like if you have like the newer cars, they can track where you've been. So it's just like if you were actually going to try to do something that I feel like either he was just careless or he just didn't care,
Oh yeah,
you
for
know,
sure. Like yeah.
because it's just like you could get a freaking dumb car from like someone and you haven't even registered it, and you put a fake license plate in the back, and then how would they track you? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but even
but
then, dude, like there's so much surveillance. There's just so many things, dude. Like I was gonna say it like as a joke, obviously, but like if you like to our viewers or listeners or whatever, if that thought has ever crossed your mind, just go get help. Go to a therapist or something, but don't act on it because obviously, apart from it being wrong, you're not gonna get away with it. It's
yes.
you're not as smart as you think you are. The only reason
And
sometimes
also, yeah, and also it's just like life. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, what's the point? We're definitely not condoning like be like
obviously
do it this
not.
way. Obviously not. But we're just talking about someone that, like he had such like amazing tools because he was studying the same thing that he was trying to do. Like he was like going against the system in such a way that it's just like, oh gosh, we're like in a How to Get Away with Murder freaking episode, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's crazy. That was crazy. And
yeah.
also like, so what do you view, like you personally, Hector? Like what do you view his motive is? Because I just said what I viewed it. I viewed it more as in like, how do I get away with this? And I just want to see what it feels like. What do you personally view it as?
I mean, I do kind of agree with what you think, but I've also heard of him having. Well, he was stalking them, so that's what, in part, that leads me to believe that maybe he was obsessed with them, or maybe kind of just like a hunter stalks its prey type of thing. And also, I've heard that uh he may have been like in favor of like violence against women and shit like that. So I've heard. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I feel like yes, he wanted to see if he could get away with committing a crime, but I think it goes beyond that, and I feel like he is potentially. I mean, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I feel like he might be like a narcissist who it's not just can I get away with it, but it's I want to feel like the power of taking somebody's life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah, for
And
sure.
that's kind of what I get out of that. And obviously, I think it's horrible and it's very, very sad for the families. But I think it sucks that yeah, he's going to jail for the rest of his life. But I don't know how much closure the families can really get from that.
Yeah, and we feel horrible for the families, and our hearts go out for them. And there's nothing that you can really like. We can say we feel so bad for you guys, but we understand that there's nothing that will bring these beautiful people back, right? Like they were
Exactly.
in such a prime, they were in the best years of their life, and someone just to take their lives like that is just horrible.
Right. And I mean the whole death penalty thing, that's a talk for another day. That's a very, hot topic issue, a very big hot topic issue. And some people would say an eye for an eye. Other people would say killing is wrong. Period. It doesn't matter who does the killing, you know. But
Yeah, we all have different perspectives.
exactly.
Like I personally like wouldn't say like an eye for an eye, but
Hmm.
then again, I'm not in that position. Like
Exactly.
what
You
if
don't.
I would change? Like it would change
You
my
can't
mind. Maybe
imagine.
like
You
yeah,
can't.
you can't imagine these people's
Exactly.
pain. So yeah, but also in a sense, it's just like what good does it do to me? Does it make me feel better in a way? Or
Hmm.
how this is not going to bring back my family member, but again we're not in that position, so like we don't know, maybe it would change, maybe would have so much anger. That's why, and that's very interesting that it's like kind of very 50-50 with the families,
You
that
know
some of
what's a
them view it
shame?
differently. Yeah,
You know what's a shame that I really hope I'm mistaken, but I just know how twisted people are. This guy is probably gonna become like a low key celebrity and like maybe give it like 10 years. Like kind of like Jeffrey Dahmer and people like that. People who get like fan mail. I don't know if you've heard of that. Like serial killers that have gotten like fan mail and shit, and then there's like copycat killers and shit like that. And I feel like that's part of what they want, that infamy. And it sucks because in a way they're gonna get that, dude. So from that point of view, it does kind of piss me off.
no, it pisses you off in the sense that it's just like they're kind of like very like notorious, like
Hmm.
you have all these other people that are just like kind of like, yeah,
Like
like
I feel like we should remember the victims, not the perpetrators.
exactly, because we're just giving them more attention, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. But we, in
Exactly.
a sense, just want to get. We were just talking about the case and just like how did it like how is there any like loopholes? Is there anything? But we definitely just we don't want to bring attention to people like this, even though we just did an episode.
I know we just dedicated a whole episode to it.
Yeah. But no, but it's just like we're not going out of our way, like saying, oh, yeah, we're sending these people, like, because you have a
Just,
lot of people that, they get all these fan mail, like you said, right?
I feel like it's just, you're gonna have to talk about these people, from time to time, but don't glorify them, because that's what a lot of people do.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, glorifying them and then just like seeing them. You know how like you have like you see all those Instagram posts and be like and they're like saying like, oh, this is like prison bait. This is like
Mm.
prison bait because their bunk shots are so hot.
Oh wow.
Like, do you remember the guy that he was in? His bunk shot landed him like a modeling career.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
And
but
apparently
that's
he's
different. Like
really
those
good
were like
now.
not like their cases were different. They were not obviously like murder.
Yeah,
So
like
yeah,
it was still you could
and
redeem yourself type thing.
also that's something that we like. That's very interesting because like we have all these like murder like all these murder shows, like all this like
Oh yeah,
and
like
I'm guilty of this.
some crime.
I'm guilty on like true crime. I'm 100% guilty of it. But you also
It's
kind
good
of
stuff. It's good stuff in the sense that, it hooks you in, but it's not good in the sense that you're kind of glorifying the shittier sides of humanity.
what I have a problem with? Like, okay, I like when I listen to them and like it's so funny because like some people are like I fall asleep to it and sometimes I fall asleep to the story too, but it's just like I have like the more like recent, it's like I want to know what happened, how did it happen, like the more detective wise, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then all these videos can fall in the hands of like people that are not like mentally stable or that are just like, oh yeah, maybe I could do this. You know what I mean? Maybe I can
Yeah.
like one of our like theories, like maybe he just wanted to see if he could get away with it. And
Yeah, the whole
also like
copycat thing.
yeah, and also like I don't know if you recall the Netflix. um the Netflix. I don't know if it was just one episode or if there was more. The whole What Did Jennifer Do?
You know,
Do you
I've heard of
recall?
it, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
I
and
haven't
she like
watched it.
so she basically murdered her parents and like she
Mm.
created like an elaborate story how like there were thieves and like but they basically found her like guilty. But it's just like
Yeah, I think I've heard of
it's
that. It sounds
yeah, but
familiar.
it yeah, but it's just like okay, it's I mean sometimes it's like guilty pleasures for us to hear, you know what I mean? Like oh, like what happened? Who did it? You know, like how did they find them? Like if it was it like maybe like 12 days after? Was it like 30 years after we have like all this DNA? You know,
The Who Done It.
and yeah, but it's just like for some people it works as more as like how do we get
Hey, you
like
know,
solving the puzzle? You know what I mean? But I think also like for some other people it could be like it's not healthy. You know what I mean? Like it could be like oh giving them
but
not only like
that's true for so many things. I think. I don't know. Um, yeah, but you know, we can't really censor what people watch. You know, sadly, you know, it's kind of like you know, like say somebody who could be like a predator, right?
mhm,
There's obviously a lot of like adult stuff, you know, like on the internet. You know, it's possible that they could, you know, that could encourage them to act out their, you know, twisted fucking ideas or whatever. But you know, what I'm trying to get at is it's a slippery slope, you know, with these type of things because yeah, a lot of people can be persuaded, but also there's people that, you know, they're like, well, you know, I don't see it that way. Like I like just it's entertainment for me or whatever, you know. Like and it's like so many different things like um say like slasher movies, you know, where the killer just like basically stabs everyone. You know, that you could be like, "Oh, that's kind of encouraging the same thing," you know? I don't know, dude.
yeah no the only reason well the reason that I brought that up was because it's so popular right now, you know, like oh the whole murder mystery is like the whole true crime. It's very
Because it's
popular
good
right now.
stuff. Like as I said, like you get
Yeah,
hooked on it. You know, you want to know what happened, and it's like the fucking cliffhangers and the surprises, the plot twists. It's interesting stuff. It sucks that it happens, but undeniably it does make for interesting like TV. But yeah, you know, it is a guilty pleasure for those of us that do like
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Hmm.
Yeah, and you can also like say it for like copycats, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna look at the news and then you have these copycats that are probably gonna try to do the same, you know. They're inspired by it and then they're gonna do these horrible things as well.
Yeah.
It's just yeah, it's just like all these things are so like influential maybe sometimes in a negative way to people that are probably not right, you know,
I mean,
and should
you have the
probably
guy who, you have the guy that killed John Lennon. You read that one book, The Catcher in the
yeah.
Rye. Did you ever read that book in school?
I hated the Catcher in the
I
Rye.
hated it. Well, I didn't hate it. I just didn't really care for it. But yeah,
It's so
apparently,
funny because I have such a. It's so funny because like the Catcher in the Rye is like I've had people be like, "Oh my gosh, this book changed my life. This book is so amazing." I remember the teacher that I had. I remember her like, in I think I wrote an essay about it, and I was like I kind of said like the main character, like he to me was so annoying. I really didn't like him,
he
and
just
she was
came
like
along.
so, and she really liked him, and then I was just like she kind of like beefed with me about it, and I'm just like I don't I really didn't like him.
You know, I don't know. It's been a long time, but I just remember him being kind of like this annoying teenager type guy. Like kind of like
Exactly.
moody and edgy and like full of angst and shit. And it's like okay, it's relatable because you know you're kind of that age at the same time, but at the same time, it's like, dude, this is so lame. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't, like he had so many, like I don't know, and
I
I
still
haven't
don't.
read the book in a long, I haven't read the book in a long time, so I don't even remember it so much. But I remember like just reading it, just finding him so annoying that I was just like, dude, I would never be friends with someone like that.
You know, I remember
He
him calling
was,
people phonies. I don't know if you remember that, like all the phonies.
oh maybe I
Mm.
don't, but what was it? Was like, was it like a diary thing that he would like write stuff in it? I don't remember.
It may have been. I think it might have been. But I don't know, dude. It's been a long time. But
It's
you know what?
because we
We,
would hear him. I feel like we would hear him speaking. I don't know if he had like a journal or something, but I feel like yeah, he did because I remember him like speaking in like I guess like his own tone, like
mm,
in the first person, like
yeah,
maybe like he's writing a journal or something. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy is so annoying, dude. Like I
yeah, no,
cannot
for
stand
sure.
this guy. Yeah, like
No, no
those are
wonder
like
you're fucking alone and shit. Like, oh wow, that's brutal.
No, his whole tone to the whole book to me, like the tone was just like very annoying, and then you have all these people that love it. You know what's another one that a lot of people love? The what is it called? The one about like the people in the island and that they all kill
Oh,
each
the
other.
Lord of the Flies.
There you go, the
Yeah,
Lord of the
yeah,
Flies. Yeah, another one.
yeah.
I
I
didn't
didn't really
really.
care for that one. You
Yeah,
know,
it's so
but
funny. Like
we kind of turned this into book club. I think we should wrap it up, Helen. What do you think?
yeah,
Yeah.
we
All
should.
right.
We just went from one thing to another.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you brought it up. It's your
Okay, yes,
fault.
my fault. Sure, I'll take the
All right
blame.
then, guys.
Thank
It
you
was
so
great
much.
being with you guys, and let us know what you guys think about the whole case and what you guys just think about, like the whole thing about like all this true crime, right, Hector?
Yeah, you know the impact it has on society. Because I don't know, these things they happen. You know, people have been killing people long before we had like TV and movies and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like not really that big of an issue, or maybe it is. You let us know, and you know if you like this,
Well, it's
please
a
make sure
huge issue.
to
We have to,
give us a like and
we have to.
subscribe.
It's Yes, no, but it's a huge issue. And again, we do want to take the moment to obviously acknowledge the lives that were lost and the
Right.
poor families that are mourning because this is to them, these are human people, human beings that, like we said, they lost their lives in such a horrible manner.
Okay, you
And
know what? Before we end this episode, and I think it's just an interesting question, and it's a personal question, but I think it's just interesting. If you know, like God forbid, how would you feel if, like, you know, again, God forbid, something happens to you that you would end up on a show like that? Like, would you be against it, or you'd be like, well, at least my story is getting told, type of thing? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a great question actually, like an open-ended question because like sometimes is it too much or is it honoring your family members' lives and also just being because you don't want to be also like, oh my gosh, they lost their life and they're not being accounted for. And you know what?
Hmm.
Also, like that's a great case, because like the whole Vanessa, remember Vanessa Gilden? That I think that was her last name.
Gian, yeah, the soldier.
Yeah. So if their family hadn't gone over her, that's a name that we wouldn't even know.
It would have
You
been
know?
swept under the rug. Nothing would have
It would
happened.
have been exactly. So
Mhm.
we have to address it in a way. Do like Hector said, kind of like, are we giving it too much publicity, or is it honoring their name? And obviously, in this case, we just want to honor their name,
And if it brings
and
attention, like if it helps like criminals get caught, well, that's a positive, obviously.
obviously, so yeah, we want to honor everyone that obviously like has lost their lives. in an unfortunate manner,
Exactly.
and just find a way to try to grieve it through, because we obviously are with all the lives that have been lost, and it's horrible. Like, you have the sisters, like they're crying, the parents, and if this is fresh to them,
Hmm.
so
All right.
yes.
Well, everyone, thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure to like and comment and subscribe and all that stuff. And
Yes, we
we'll
want to hear from you
see you.
guys. We would definitely want to hear your opinions and what you guys think and everything. We just want to hear from you guys. So you guys have a great tonight.
Goodbye. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of The Left Swipe brought to you by H2H. And today we're going to be talking about the mysteries and inconsistencies regarding the murder